Today I fucked up by petting a cat and almost got detained in Fiji. This didn't happen today, but a few years back. I was talking about it recently and thought I would share. A few years ago, I was moving to New Zealand, so I went over to my mom's house to say goodbye. She had just gotten a new kitten, which of course means I was going to play with it. As kittens do, it scratched me a little, but I thought nothing of it. Little did I know, that those little scratches were far from harmless. The next day, my mom dropped me off at the airport and gave me a couple of sleeping pills for my flight. Even though I had a stopover in Fiji, the flight was still really long and I'm terrible at sleeping on planes. Just as I sat down in my seat, took the pills and settled in to try to get comfortable. About 30 minutes in, I was out. About an hour before landing, I was rudely awoken by violently projectile vomiting with several flight attendants looking on with horror. The person who had been sitting next to me was no longer there. Apparently I had been vomiting continuously while I was asleep, including all over this poor guy. We land in Fiji and they immediately take me into the quarantine zone. This was during the Ebola outbreak and they thought that I might be contagious. Well, it turned out that I actually had cat scratch fever from my mom's new kitten. I was able to leave Fiji and eventually make my way to New Zealand. Long story short, be careful when petting kittens and definitely don't take sleeping pills for the first time while traveling. Too long didn't read. I pet a kitten, got cat scratch fever, and threw up all over the place while unconscious on sleeping pills. Got put into quarantine and almost wasn't allowed to leave Fiji. Edit: a lot of people are talking about how it takes longer than 24 hours to show symptoms of cat scratch fever. It could have been longer than the next day after I got scratched. It was a few years ago, so I'm not 100% sure about the timing. I definitely did get cat scratch fever though. The little scratches on my hand bubbled up and eventually turned a weird brown color. Took over a month for it to go away fully. Also, yes, I feel so terrible about the guy sitting next to me. I think about him about once a month or so. He was probably thinking, great, this random girl threw up on me and now I probably have Ebola. I'm sure he never forgot that. P.S. I really don't recommend taking sleeping pills that aren't yours. It is possible that the vomiting was in part due to that. Edit 2. In case anyone is interested, here's the little floof that gave me cat scratch fever. Also, here's what my hand looked like a month afterwards. I tried to find pictures of it while it was still bad, but I think I deleted them all because they were disgusting. It's the bacteria from their claws and paws that prompts the infection. You can get it from vaccinated cats, too. It must still be very rare. Been scratched by cats for 30 years and have neither had it nor even met anyone who had. Man, I feel for that poor soul that was next to you. I had someone barf sitting next to me in elementary school and middle school. I'll tell you, my dodging reflexes were godlike. Like sneaking up on a cat. Hopefully a vaccinated one. I feel for the poor guy who sat next to you. I remember once my sibling was sitting in the passenger seat and me behind him, and our driver was driving down this mountain really fast. My intelligent sibling threw up at the side of the window, the puke flew back in, hit me in the face. Good times. Shortly after 9/11 I was flying into Reagan in DC, and on final approach, a kid in one of the front couple rows started throwing up on his neighbor. The neighbor jumped up and the kid kept puking into the empty seat. The flight crew was telling for him to sit down. The guy was yelling that his seat was full of vomit. Flight is full, there is nowhere else for you to sit. We are landing. Either sit down immediately or we will have to divert to another airport. He took one for the plane full of people and sat down in some stranger's bath for 5 minutes while we landed. Wow. They didn't even have a spare jump seat they could have let him sit in. Poor guy. The airplane neighbor vomit guy at least has a story to tell forever. You'll never believe I had this great vacation in Fiji when suddenly this guy. Today I fucked up by shocking my husband's dick. This happened just the other day and I'm still laughing about it. So my husband and I were chilling on our bin bag. I bought a 6-foot bin bag during quarantine and I have zero regrets. And things started to get heated. We got up to make our way to the bedroom, but my husband always does this thing where he just pulls his pants down in front of me. Sexy time or not, this is just who he is. Apparently I had some static from the beanbag that I was unaware of, but I poked the tip of his dick, which caused the shock of the century. My finger actually hurt. He fell to the floor and told me he wanted to vomit and then die. We didn't have sex for a bit and I couldn't stop laughing. He laughed later. Too long didn't read, got off of our beanbag, poked my husband's dick, and shocked him, which led to him falling to the floor. Edit. Wow, I'm shocked so many people saw this. Haha. Kinda sad I posted this on my throwaway account now. Thank you all for the kind awards. I told my husband about this post and he didn't know how to feel about thousands of people laughing and cringing at his pain, but the comments made him laugh, so thanks for that. Also, I had a lot of people asking about my beanbag. I got it for $150 off Wayfair, because not about to spend $300 to $600 on one. $150 was completely worth it. Buy it for sure if you want one. It won't let me add the link, but just look up large beanbag sofa on Wayfair and you should see it smile. Late 90s fancy dress party. One hot as hell lady getting about in a spandex Wonder Woman bodysuit on polyester carpet with no shoes, shuffling about zapping her BF. One jerk who kept flopping his wiener out dressed as the cowboy from the Village People. He flops it out near Wonder Woman, who has been shuffling about building up a charge to zap her BF. Audible zap. Heard above the conversation. Cowboy seen clutching his groin, whimpering on the carpet. The rest of the party goers catcalling him and laughing. It was a good party after Mr. Broker Dick left. Had that happen to me almost 30 years ago. Wife and I were newlyweds on vacation at Lake Tahoe. We were just about to get to sexy time and she goes to kiss the tip. Bam. No sexy time that night. He couldn't stop laughing. I thought the title said shooting instead of shocking at first. Lol. You shot me in the dick! Exclamation mark. You shot him in the dick. Who does that? Exclamation mark. Everything about this post makes me think we should be friends. 6-foot beanbag, yes. Pantsless partners for no reason, yes. Laughing your ass off about this, yes. Edit to add, I just read this to my partner and he also laughed his pantsless ass off. I somehow didn't read this as you literally shocking his wang from the title and wondered what you did to startle it. Today I fucked up by eating atomic wings, then having relations with my wife. This happened last night. We decided to order takeout from a local restaurant. I love spicy food. Last time we had their food, I ordered their hot wings, but they weren't very hot. So this time around, I ordered the hottest they had, which was atomic. And let me tell you, these had a kick. My lips burned for an hour. I could only eat about 2/3 before I had to throw in the towel. Later that night, we went to bed. We had both had a few drinks and one thing led to another. Here's where I fucked up. I began fingering her. About 10 seconds later she asks me, "You washed your hands, right?" To which I reply, "Of course." She instantly jumps out of bed and runs into the bathroom. I hear the bidet turn on. Apparently I hadn't washed thoroughly enough, so as she was cooling off, I washed them again. We hopped back in bed and resumed. I began playing with hole number 2. A few seconds later, she jumps out of bed screaming, "Now my asshole is burning," and runs back to the toilet. After another rinse, she returns and says, "No more hands." I'm writing this from the toilet, paying the toll for said wings. They burn on the way out too. Too long didn't read. 8 atomic wings then burn my wife's privates hours later. Update, getting a lot of comments saying this is fake and gets posted all the time. All I can say is this did in fact happen to me last night and I wasn't aware it was such a common post. Sorry. Oh, and for those curious, the wings were from Beef for Brady's. At some point people who sub here should learn to not handle spicy food and then touch naughty bits with how many stories this is happening. That or teach it in elementary school. You know what stories you don't read here? People not looking both ways before crossing into a busy street. I don't think that's the reason people don't write stories about not looking before crossing. I just forwarded this to my wife saying, "See, I'm not the only one. Did this when we first started dating. She has never let me forget." Coitus en fuego. You gave her the buffalo wings. That sounds miserable. My grandpa was a chemist and he informed me that after eating or handling spicy foods/ingredients, rub vegetable oil to get the capsaicin off your skin before washing with soap and water. The capsaicin is hydrophobic and not super great in water, but it is quite soluble in fats, so it removes it better. Hope this helps any future sensitive bits.